Hello everyone and welcome back to my YouTube channel. Today I'm sharing a Christmas card using the My Favorite Things Jingle Hugs on this one as feature. Now first of all, I said it many times before, tiddly inks and the fact that we can now get some clear stamps at My Favorite Things from this amazing illustrator, I am blown away. I truly love them, and I think with every release that you can already guess that I'll probably buy one or two if possible. So this time Jingle Hugs, an adorable stamp set again. I saw so many amazing card makers create the most amazing cards with this image and doing some fabulous coloring. I saw a lot of reds and I really wanted to do reds on this girl as well. Maybe I'll do it later again, but since I saw so many reds, I thought maybe you want to see a combination of greens. So this girl is going to get a green dress, and then we will use some pops of red on the reindeer and some of the accessories. So no worries. First of all, this is Transotype Perfect Coloring Paper. I'm going to color this completely in using my Copic Markers. And as usual, I am starting with the hardest part of the image, being the hair. Next up, I will do the skin, because that's also a difficult one. But doing some flicking, as I said in the past, and as you can clearly see here, you have some guidelines, as I call them. There are some extra hair strings or lines drawn in already. If you follow them while flicking, in my opinion, you will get this result. It's something that I look for when I am buying some human related images or stamps, because it's really handy to be able to follow them. I'm way more certain about my hair coloring since I got some of these images. Also, Rochelle Anna Miller has some amazing images that really help you with the hair. That being said, I'm adding 2 layers, 3 layers if needed. Personally, I found the hair not to be as striking as I wanted it to, and then all of a sudden the blending wasn't going well anymore. Why? Because I added so many layers that at a certain point the paper thinks, okay, now we are done, I'm oversaturated, I'm not going to take on any of the ink anymore. You can set aside your image at that point, or you can do like me and just make a quick just use your heat gun and let it dry this way, and then you can add more layers if you want to. So now onto the skin, using one of the combinations as I use most often because it's an in-between tone in my opinion. I know that it works, so that's always handy, but although it works, I still found skin really hard, just because from time to time I just don't find that I get the blend that I had in my head. Or I need to add more shadows like I did here, but we will get there. At one point in my life this will be the easiest part of the image, but I do prefer using my colors to color in the clothing and all those things. Now also a hard part for me personally on this image was the reindeer, to get enough of the depth to get it all blended. So I worked quite back and forth, but I'm really glad with how it turned out. So don't be scared if you have a brand or an image that you really want to color in, but it seems a bit hard with all the edges and shadows and stuff. Just go for it and keep working on it and you will improve, I'm sure of it. So that's what I did here. I started with the reds. Why? Because red, if I go outside the lines, and it can be personal, but if I am not able to stay inside of the lines and I go outside it with my reds, it's sometimes hard to get rid of the red that I had on the other spaces. So that's why I prefer starting with reds if I can, and then I can use my colorless blender still to fix maybe any mistakes before I already have another color, and then go with the red on that color, and then you know, it's a bit harder. That being said, I'm using several browns. Again, if you're curious to color combination, in the description box you have a link towards my blog post, and there you can find the color combinations for every part of this image. So I have the reindeer, I have the greens, the hair, the skin. You know, I am trying to list them as clear as possible so that you can really see what I used for what part of the image. I don't know if you noticed, but here I was really postponing starting to color the fur of the reindeer because I just wasn't sure. So I did all the rest first, which is not what I do normally. And I would also suggest to always start with the hardest thing, like the hair, like the skin for me personally. But here I truly was avoiding the biggest part of this image that I was afraid of. So going back and forth, 2 layers, if needed 3. This paper truly can handle it, and otherwise use your heat gun, let it set aside, let it dry, and come back in. Many ways to really make sure that you like the result that you get. So let's do this. Let's tackle the reindeer. Now I try to play with the idea of having a bit of a rounded image, and so avoiding adding my marker right next to the edge, just leaving a slight sliver of white, which isn't always easy. There are days where I am shaking too much with my hand that I'm just not going there. And there where I find that there is a shadow because of an overlap with another part of the image, there I go right against the edge. Don't know if that's clear what I'm talking about, but I did it on the leg, on the back leg. There you can see definitely that I try to have that white sliver, and then for the upper part where the other leg is overlapping, I am just going right against the edge. So I'm doing that, and really to help me, I am twisting and turning this paper. Anything that can help you, you should do, because that will help you get that result that you want. So I'm really sorry if you're going crazy by the twisting and turning of my paper, but otherwise I would never be able to get the result that I finally got. Just because in some positions your hand will be more sturdy to do the details that you want to do, and in other positions it can be really, well, a lot of trouble to get it right. So therefore, just taking my time, and I'm working my way from my darkest to my lightest color. As you can see here, the first layer, as it is often personally experienced, it's rubbish. It truly is. The blend isn't going well. There is way too much contrast between the darkest and the lightest, but that will all be fixed once you're adding more and more layers, and you can't just keep adding layers until you're happy with it. So I'm going over it the second time around. I just decided to do this part first and then continue with all the other elements that are still there to color in. But I'm just going over the darker area. I'm not going further in with that really dark color. I am, however, going further in with this E57, just to help also with the transition between this one and the other colors. Then E33, one of the most used markers in any brown combination of mine. It works with so many markers that I currently own, so it's a really, really good one in my opinion. And then I'm just building further and further. Now, at this point, I decided to clean up and then go on with the other parts of the image. Just because also the paper was getting oversaturated, but later on I will go back a bit to get a bit more of a gradient instead of this really dark and light area. So doing the same as you saw previously, trying to keep that slight border in between, except when there is a shadow caused by another part of the image. and then over to the head. So I cannot stress enough to not panic when the first layer isn't going well. So once you add more, once you keep going and play a bit more with your markers, you will get better in it, and also the result will be more of your liking. And something that I need to say often to myself is to not rush things, because, well, I don't like doing repetitive things, and going over an image a second time is quite repetitive, but then at the same time it changes so much. So that's why I can keep telling myself to just go for it, do the extra layer until I'm happy, because it is worth it at the end. So I had this, and then I contemplated, and I'm really sorry, but there was something going on with my phone. I'm filming always with my phone, and well, when something goes wrong and I need to start over, I cannot exactly find the zoom that I used, because I just zoom randomly. I don't check which zoom I have. And I don't know about you, but I am seated when I am crafting, so it's really hard to see it if I would want to see it. That being said, there are many crafters that are standing up while crafting, and respect, I cannot do that. Okay, so here I have my green combination, and actually it's the first time that I used this green combination, and then I'm not talking about the yellow green 17, 23 and 21 that I used already in the past. It was one of my first combinations, but I added this time the yellow green 99 and 67 to it, and it completely changed the vibe of the color, and I truly love it. I will make more cards with this green combination. I think it's stunning. There is so many contrasts, and at the same time it's really vibrant because of the lighter yellow greens that I used, and I just love it. So I hope you do too. Again, this image, it's so gorgeous with all the reds, but you can check that out by everyone on Instagram so far, and in other colors as well. So let yourself be inspired by other crafters and make it your own and have fun on the go. But I cannot promise anything. I want to make this one with a red dress as well. It's like too beautiful to pass on, you know. But here, again, doing the same as on the dress, as on the reindeer, I am trying to keep that light sliver right aside the line white, and then I will use one of the lighter greens in this case to fill it up, but just to have that illusion again of rounded things and such. I really like it. And then I'm just making sure with the second layer or with the third or fourth, whatever amount of layers you need to get that blend that you want. And it's coming along quite well. Always accessories is an important thing of your images. I found these things to be the hardest, because it's really easy to say, well, I'm going to go in greens and reds, but then you have other accessories on the green or the red items, or and everything needs to fit. So personally, I found the bells, well, I just went for the classic yellowish goldish color, but I found those things the hardest. I'm making sure that I like the blend also. Here it's a small image, but it matters. And then I'm going to add some browns on the shoes, but also here on the belt. The same browns that I already used previously, so you will like recall this combination. It's a part of another combination. As I always say, there are so many combinations. Once you have at least 3 markers, if you have 4, you have again a zillion more combinations to use. And I think I already told it somewhere in another video, but I'm trying to get a list done with some Copic combinations that I use now all the time and that I think might be handy as first combinations, but truly, as I said then, it's really a work in progress. And just because I want to do more than just give you basics, and well, I'm thinking about things, and then I need to get my shit together and get a layout that I like, and just, well, there is still some work. But someday, somehow, I will share some sort of a document with you or with whoever will be new on this channel and might be interested in finding a document with some tips about what marker to buy first. So I truly hope that I can put myself to it and just get it done, but I think it's at this point more useful for you all if I just share videos with combinations in, and then you can still decide for yourself what you like or what you don't like or what you want to have immediately and where you want to wait for. And so that's what I'm doing right now. Now the coloring was done, I used the matching dies to cut it out, and now I'm going to make my background. So I'm going to make a slimline card, a mini slimline today, and as you can see here, I just wanted to show you this panel is cut down just, well, the size of a mini slimline with a small sliver that is from the right or left side of this panel, a bit shorter. So you will see it once we assemble the card, but I am going to add a fine strip of gold on the right side of my card, so therefore this panel is slightly smaller or thinner than a mini slimline itself. So here I am going to ink blend my background. I decided to go with some pinkish reddish colors for my background. Well, first of all, I wanted to do a really deep blue night sky, but then I thought maybe just to switch it up for you guys, just do a different background color. So I went for the pinks, but again, black suit, chipped sapphire, stormy sky, I don't know what I'm using all the time exactly, but that was my first choice. But you know, from time to time we need just to switch it up a bit, keeping it interesting, or trying to, but definitely the blue background night sky thingy would definitely work as well, but this is a pinkish one. So I'm using today the Spun Sugar Worn Lipstick, Festive Berries, and Aged Mahogany Distress Inks. Starting with a really soft one and, well, the Spun Sugar, and I will also add the Aged Mahogany. Now, I say it all the time when I'm doing a night sky with blues, just adding a slight amount of black on the top gets you so far. Now with the reds, personally, I find that the aged mahogany gives the same effect. If you want to, you can always add the black as well, but I think just for the easy blending thing, that then the aged mahogany still is the way to go to add between the black and the aged mahogany. But personally, aged mahogany is just the new black soot when you're ink blending a red sky, in my opinion. So once I was happy with the blend, which took me a while, because just going back and forth, want to have all the colors really visible, I decided to, well, stamp out my sentiment. Also, normally I tend to add a little bit of a color on the hill that we masked off now by using the Drifts and Hills stencil for my favorite things, but today I decided to keep the hill white. Why, I don't know exactly, but I think it works. That being said, stamping out the sentiment, it's the first time using the stamp set. I say it all the time, I don't prep my stamps, I have no patience to do that. I just stamp it 5 times if needed, which is the same waste of time, I think, but okay, that's just what I do. You do what you do. I added thin foam squares on the back of this complete image really going a bit overboard, but you know me, it's just for shipping and stuff. I don't want it to go through mail and be ruined. So I try to avoid that as much as possible by adding as much as possible of the adhesive on the back of the images. Now, I'm going to make this a Christmassy scene, and although this works in my opinion, just adding some white splatters, I mean, let some snow fall, and you can do that before adhering the images, but lately I find it really lovely when I have my snow also on top of my images, and therefore I find it handy to add everything already. So just adding these snowflakes sort of things with the white gouache were really thin this time. Also, if you want it to be really opaque and you find that after drying your pigments is sort of coming through the white gouache, that's probably because you added too much water. You diluted maybe the gouache a bit too much. So I always try to add as less water as possible. Just make it liquid enough to splatter, and all the rest you keep it as gouache as possible. That's not a word, I think, but you know what I mean. I just added that gold, and I know it's way thicker than what I need, but that's just handy, you know. So now I'm going to add my panel, and then I'm calling this card finished. You can add some more embellishments if you want to. Oh, I will add some glossy accents, but you can add even sequins or snowflakes or anything you can think of. It's all a possibility. I just added some glossy accents. I did that on the nose, on the bells, and that's it. Yes. So that is my card for today. Here I just fixed some, well, it were a few splatters with pinkish color, so I just went over it with a white jelly roll pen. I have white snow, so you won't see it. And that is my card. So I want to thank you all for stopping by. I hope that you enjoyed this card and of course that you like the end result. If you do, you can always give this one a thumbs up. I would truly appreciate it. I had so much fun creating this card, so thank you for stopping by. I wish you an incredible day, and I'll be back soon with some new crafty inspiration. Bye!